All right, so आपण पार्ट 3 ला स्टार्ट करूयात. So let's read the code first, and we also have the readme file here to see. And to check the readme file, open this preview tab so that it's more readable. All right, so I'll directly start reading the app.py file. Okay, so what do we have here? We have imported few packages. We have Flask as usual and Flask SQLalchemy. And from SQLalchemy, we are importing SQLalchemy. Now, SQLalchemy is one package developed by some of the third-party programmers to make queries easier. All right, and if we just scroll down, we can see that we have this query, student query get, or we can directly insert something like this, or we can directly delete. Where is delete? Okay, we can directly delete like this. So these things are easier because of this package called SQLalchemy. Now at this point of time, we don't want to memorize things. We just have to understand how they work. There are multiple ways to get anything done. So there is no one correct way as such. Many ways are there and many ways are correct. All right, so I'll move forward now. Secret key, we typically need secret key for security. So you can drop anything. And now we have this config file. Now when we are using SQLalchemy, they have some standard syntax or standard way of writing code, and these 3 lines are part of that. So here we are defining our database. We are saying SQLite : / school.db. So it will create a table school.db. Sorry, it will create a database school.db. Now we want to move to a proper database in a way. So we are still using SQLite, but we are kind of using a better middleman. Previously, we are using a middleman which was directly SQLite. Here, the middleman is SQLalchemy package. And that middleman is kind of helping us to interact with database in more structurized manner. Then this is another kind of, let's say, key value pair. So this is a key and that's a value. Again, this is a key and this is a value. So it says disable warning. So we can turn it on and then it gives us warnings as well. Then we initialize database through this command SQLalchemy app. So this is fairly common in all the programs. So that's fine to know. In the future programs, you can just copy paste. All right. So now what do we have here? Now these are called models. And it's also a class. So you can see that we have written class, and then inside class there is course, and then we are passing db.model. So it's kind of it's a concept of inheritance. So what we are saying is the course class will inherit some properties from db.model. What this db.model is, it's coming from this SQLalchemy class. So we'll just kind of take a note of this. We'll not deep dive, but what this allows us to do is it allows us to define these attributes. Now the class has attributes which has ID, name, and description. But along with that, it is also allowing us to assign data type for the columns. So in a way, in one code, we are doing two things. We are not only defining a class, but we are also creating table structure. So course will become our table, and the table is also called as model in the typical full stack terminologies. So it's a model. It's also a class. It's also a model, and that model, that table has 3 columns: ID, name, description, and then ID has integer data type, name has string data type, and description has text data type. So when we are using string, we can pass the limit. So we are saying that 100 is the limit. That's fine. Primary underscore key is true. So we are saying that ID is the primary key. We are saying that this is nullable equal to false. That means that name has to be there. And lastly, we have a relationship. We'll come back to this. We'll ignore it for now. And this is a standard definition or standard method of function that is defined in this model, which says that if you print course, print it like this. And we'll see it when we run it. Okay. All right, then let's go to another table. So we have another table, student. Student table has three things. In fact, it has four things. The fourth thing is course underscore ID. So student has name, ID, name, email. ID, as we saw, typically is the primary key. It will automatically be incremented. Name nullable equal to false, so it has to be there. Email, again, nullable equal to false, so it has to be there, but it also has to be unique. So now, as you go on developing programs, you will see that you want to handle errors at multiple places. Not only you have to handle error in the backend, let's say in the case of email duplication, not only you want to do it through that checking of the model whether email exists or not, but database should also have its own independent implementation for security. So this is where we are saying that even if some code deliberately try to insert duplicate data, the database should not accept it. And that's why we are enforcing it unique equal to true. So we have to do it twice, also in the code and here as well. And then we have the fourth column, which is course underscore ID. Now this column is interesting. What it says is it has to be integer, and it is a foreign key from course.id. What it means that the ID inside this course ID is going to represent some sort of course. So that's called one-to-many relationship. Okay, so one-to-many relationship, to understand it well, let's say I have one student and let's say we have course, right? And then the course could be CS and IT. And in the, let's say, course we have at the top level, and student we have later, and then student, let's say I have Manas, and Manas belongs to, let's say, CS, and let's say Shraddha belongs to IT, let's say Toshal belongs to CS. So now, as you can see that we want to store ID, so we want to store student. So student has the name, but student also has the course name. Now course name are limited, it's only two. So instead of always typing CS and IT, CS and IT, what we do is you pass one here, you pass two here, you pass one here, and here instead of course name we directly pass ID. And the relationship between course to student is one to many, as in one course can have many students, but one student belongs to only one course. At least in this example we are saying, otherwise it could be many to many. So right now we are just doing one to many. So we are saying that one course has to have one course. It has one course, but one course can be taken by many courses. So when you have one to many relationship, wherever there is many, so for example student is many, inside that you put the ID of one. So let's say we have one course to many students. That's why in the students we'll have pass course underscore ID. And it's also easy to imagine, like you can imagine that in the each student, if we pass course ID, then the relationship is sorted in a way. And the similar relationship will be, let's take another example. Let's say student to teacher. One teacher can have many students, but one student belongs to only one student, only one teacher. So this could be a good relationship. In some cases, there is also many-to-many relationship, and many-to-many will come later on. So as you go on developing this, you'll kind of understand this intuitively, whether it is one-to-many, many-to-many, what kind of relationship it has. For now, it suffices to know that it's one-to-many relationship, that one course can have many students, but each student can take only one course, and that's why student is many. And that's why we are passing course underscore ID. and we can easily define that one student can have course which is linked to this course. So that relationship is being passed through this foreign key. So we are saying that the course id, the id inside course is the foreign key for student. So for student, id is the primary key and course underscore id is the foreign key. So right now, just understand this intuitively. Things will get clearer over time. Now let's go to index. We have this typical slash, which points to the index route, let's say, and then here we have different way of querying. So instead of writing select star from, we are directly writing student.query.all. Now this we can do because of SQLalchemy. That's the magic. It kind of allows us to write shorter queries, and at the bottom we have written few more queries. So you can see that select star from is translated as students query.all. Select star from, sorry, select star where id equal to can be got using this. So there are multiple kind of methodologies for this, and if there is something new that comes up, you can just Google or GPT for a query. You don't have to memorize what queries are there. Gone are those days where you had to memorize anything. So it's okay if you can't remember. That's fine. All right. So here, what are we doing? We are fetching all students and then passing it. And in the courses, we are saying get me courses. So we are using it dually. In a way, we are also using course as a class, and we are also using course as a table. So to debug this now, let me just do print students and then see what we get here. And then maybe print type students. Let's get the data type of that as well. And maybe, print. All right, I think these two are fine. And here also print courses, all courses. All right, Control J, Python part 4 / app.py. Okay, so it says no module named classes SQLalchemy. So I have to do pip install. Now, not necessarily this name is always true. So one quick way to check is, just passing this to Google and getting the correct name. So if I just do no module named, and then it tells me pip install flask SQLalchemy. So in the package name, it's usually hyphen, but here it shows underscore because while importing it was underscore. This is underscore, but the packages are written with the hyphen kind of symbol. So I'll install it. All right, again let's run. Okay, now when we are using SQLalchemy, we get this instance folder. So database is stored inside instance. It's still a file. It's still a .db file, which is kind of a text file, but it lives inside this instance. And here we get API underscore demo. Okay, let me see where is the actual school.db file. So Control Shift O, school.db. Okay, so somehow the file is not created. We have got API underscore demo. Oh, sorry, I ran part 4. I have to run part 3. So part 3.app. And okay, so I got the school.db. Let me delete this API demo. All right, and we haven't given that route. So this print will get only if we run this route. So let me run it. Localhost 5000. Okay, and then we got student management, and here we get blank, and then we get list. So technically right now it's a list, and it's blank because there is no entry. Let me open this table first. So close database, Control Shift P, open database, and school.db. So I got here in the SQLite Explorer, and let's play student. All right, so we want to check this. So I'll take a bet and add a student. So for the student, all right. So I think courses have been printed. So let's just see courses as well. Now 3 courses are already there. So I'll kind of go through the code and see why 3 courses have been populated. Okay, so slash courses here. Let's just go down, and here I can see in the initdb, which is being called right after we are entering the Python code. Initdb, it says that if the course query count is 0, then have these 3 list items in the sample courses and add all. So this is kind of inserting. So we are adding multiple courses at once. So database insertion has already happened through this. And here we can understand the syntax. Here we can understand the syntax that to insert a course, we are writing course, which is the class name, and then passing attribute and the value. So in the course, we had name and description. So we are passing name and description. We created a list, and then this SQLalchemy allows us to add all of them at once. If it was only one entry, then we would probably do only dot add. Okay, so then courses, if we are getting, let's come back to our thing, and then we can see, okay, so let me print courses then. So I'll go to get this output. So to get the output of this print statement, I have to hit this route. So let me do slash courses. All right, and here let's say we got, all right, so we got these 3 things. Now it's a list. So let me just get the first one. So print all courses and the first entry, and again refresh this. So we got this course Python basics. Now the first entry, why we got this in this format only, course Python basics? It is because we had written this representation method. So we are saying course name. So if somebody just prints, then it should print it like this. Now this is only useful for our own debugging, our own understanding. But if I change this method, let's say if I do course, and if I say name equal to, and again semicolon, and let's do id equal to, and self dot id. Now self, why? Because in the classes we saw that the object which is calling that particular attribute, it uses the word self in itself. So we have to write self. So we are passing self in the function. So these are the attributes and these are the functions of this class. So now we change this definition, and if I refresh it now, then we got course name equal to Python basics, id equal to 1. So it doesn't have any relevance in the typical coding, but it's good to know that this is how we can print the output of any record just for our own convenience. So if I just do the first one, I get it like this. And if I do directly all entire list, we get for entire list each item, we get like this. Now if I want to print the name specifically, then I'll do print all courses dot 0 dot students. So instead of students, let's do id, and let's do name. So we are passing the attributes. So let's just check id. Sorry, in the course we have name and description. So let's do name and description. Name and description of the first record, just for checking. And refresh. All right, so we got this over here. We got the name Python basics, and then we got the description over here. If you want to make it more readable, I will do f string. So f string, okay, and then refresh. and we can see that name equal to this and description equal to that. All right, so we are just understanding code first of all without doing much of the changes. So we got this so far. Now let's move. All right, so we have the courses already entered with this. Yeah, again, so with app.context, that's again the typical way of initializing, creating all tables. So we need it usually in the Flask SQLalchemy program. So you can think of it as a standard functionality which you can just copy paste. All right, and then with the DB create all, what happens is when the code is inside goes to inside init DB, it will create all tables automatically. So you remember in the part 2 we actually had to manually write. So if I just do part 2 and app.py and let's just compare, control B and move this to right, split right and 3. So here, if you remember, we had to manually write this table and write this all syntax, etc. Now all of this was changed to this one single, code block, or one this code block. And this also allows us to actually access these elements directly. Here we had to actually get the record, and then from that record we were kind of printing the data. Yeah, so I think we have not printed explicit data, but from here then we do students 0 dot name, etc. So and then we have to write this query as well. Now we also avoided this select query, and we also avoided this create table block because of this SQLalchemy package, and it's highly used. So if you are doing any Flask project, SQLalchemy is the go-to method for handling databases. Okay, and let's ignore this lazy equal to true. You can GPT this. It's more advanced concept, but for now it's all right to know that this is how it works typically. Okay, so before coming to students, let's go to the courses, because as we can see that students are dependent on courses. So my understanding, my inclination from the first principle thinking is to understand courses first, because it is independent and student is dependent on courses. So I'll do slash courses. Okay, so we just check slash courses. Slash courses, we are getting all this data and then we are passing it to front end, and in the front end TP as our standard Jinja template, we are storing, I think we are showing them, right? So we have this flash, and we are showing this course name and course description, and then student count is also we are showing. All right, so we don't have students assigned, so it's all 0. So let me do add course first. So if I do add course, let me just click on it. So I can see that the route has gone to add hyphen course. Then I'll come here and check add hyphen course. Okay, it is this route. So what is it doing? So it is saying that if you get the request post, but when I clicked on it, it is a get request. So I did not go into this. So directly the code right now, when I refresh this page, the code, this 144 line is being executed because it is escaping this if, because it's a get request, right? And then just to check this, as in, so let's say print request, let's say request dot method, and let's say print I am inside post. Okay, and we should not get this, so let's refresh, and we are here. We can see that get, we got this get from this request dot method. This get is coming from here, and then the code did not come into the if block. Fairly now understood, I think. So yes, so when I refreshed, it was into it went to this render template and add course, which is this page. And let's add new one now. Let's do DL, deep learning, and deep let's say CNN, RNN, LSTM, and add course. I'll do Control Shift I. Network is open. Add course. I can just check that add course was called, payload is this, looks good, and then this is added over here. And now I'll check the code of the add course. So what is happening inside post? So it should go, I'm inside post. So then when we hit enter, it went into the post, it went into I am inside post. Sorry, I am inside post, right? This 135 line. Then it got this name from this name, and this description was passed from here to here. And both of them are correct. So request.form and request.form.get is also correct. It's just that if name does not exist, if I do double E here, it will throw an error. But if I do description here, it will not throw an error. So it will actually take this value. So it's a backup fallback value. But here for the wrong key, because it is not defined here, here we have name. So if I am passing here name, it is a wrong key, and the wrong key will throw an error. But if I change this, so let's say if I change this to request.form.get and square bracket inside that NAMEE, not like this, like this. If I do this, it will not give me an error, because it will go into a fallback value, and fallback value could be blank. But if I use this, then the key has to be like that only. So this is a better method to write it instead of this. Okay, so let's move on. So we have this, and then we saw now how the data was passed into the database. So we had this new course, and inside that we are basically creating a new object. So this new course is an object of the class course, because the course is written as a class here. And inside that we had the attribute, which is name and description. So name is the attribute of course, and at the same time name is also the column name of the table course. Then I will just check print new course before entering into database. I also want to check the data type of it. So I'll say tell me details about it. And then to actually add the course into database, we did not do insert into. We directly wrote this. We directly passed the object. And that's how we are kind of shortening the code. Instead of writing long code, we are writing it in a few sentences now. And then every time you have to commit. Now we are not closing the connection. In the SQL, we had to close the connection, but here in the Flask SQLalchemy, when this route gets called, it automatically closes the connection. So we don't have to explicitly close it here. So I'll do Control J, and now I'll add a new course again, but I'm interested in finding out the data type of this. So I'll do add course, and let's do ML, and then just write ML, add course. And here I can see that course, I'm inside post, it was this. Then the print new course object we are printing, and the object was printed like this, name and ID none, because this is the representation method we have. So why ID came none will look later, but for now, this is fine. And then we can see that the data type of this new course is this course. So is the class that we had defined. So all the functions that are in this class are also accessible to us. And then we are passing this new course object to database, and then it is being stored. So all right, so that was the entire loop. Now it will be clearer when you actually start doing it, play around with it. But as much as things that you are able to grasp, just try to grasp it. Now let's try to see what is happening in the add. So course, I got 5 courses, which is fine. And let's go to students. Students, let's say add new student. Nothing new over here. We are in the /add. In the /add, this got called. And then we are also passing all courses. So in the drop down we got all courses because we are passing these courses in the front end add.html, and then the add.html would be having this option select box, and inside select we are passing course.id for course in courses, and this courses has come from these courses. Okay, so let's try to insert a student now. Let's say I'll do Manas and then Manas at gmail.com, and let me add myself to Python basics, add student. All right, so what exactly happened? So let's say when we clicked add, it came into here post, it got my name, it got email, and course underscore id it got from the front end, which is this. And here we have course underscore id, so select id. All right, so let me just do control shift I first, add student. Let me add another student, so let me say Pankaj, and email pankaj at gmail.com, and then select course web development, add student, and here we have this add, and we can see that course underscore id is 2. Name email is fairly straightforward, but the select box also we got 2. It is because first of all, why course underscore id? Because this course underscore id, this name, that's why we have the left side course underscore id. And why 2? Because we are saying option value, all these are options, the drop down was options, and their value is set as course.id, and then the course.id for web development was 2. So that's why the front end got that value as 2, and then the front end is sending it again to the back end as 2. Okay, so we caught it here in the backend in the course underscore id. So we got these 3 values, Pankaj2 in name, email, course id. Then again, we are creating a new object of type student. We are passing name, email, and course underscore id. Course underscore id is also an attribute. We can see that it's an attribute. And then db add new student, and then new student is added, and then the new student, then when we are redirecting to index, which is this, we are fetching all students, and then we are calling this index.html, and then in the html, let's go to index.html once. So let me open it in the split section and stop this here. Okay, am.py. So in the print, I am fairly confident why ID, name, and email came. ID, name, email, we have created a table. We are saying student ID, student name, student email. And then for student in students, this students is from these students. We got all students from database, passed to the front end, and then we are looping it through ID, name, email. But I'm not clear about course, like we got the course. So what it did actually, it also got the course direct. I mean, I'm okay with student underscore email instead of that course underscore id, and if I save it, instead of email we should get course id, which is fine because the student has directly, student can directly access this course underscore id. But this name is kind of a new thing for me. So here we can see that from the student we are getting course, and then from that we are getting name. So we kind of access this relationship from student. From student we got the course, and from course we got the course name. And this was possible because of this relationship. So here we can see that course has the backref students backref course, and yeah, I think that is it. So then from student we access this backref, which is course, and then from course, once we got the course, we can get the name. So let's also try to print it over here. So in the index only, if I do print type, sorry, print student, first student dot course, sorry, students. So first student, and am I able to, like we know that we can get ID, we can get name, but can I get course, and what is the data type of this? So again, print type, and then let's copy this. Okay, and Control J and refresh. Okay, so here let's just see which one is which output. So we got students, which is all students. Then type was list, right? So this is a list. Then we can get the name. That's fine. That's easy. But we could also access .course, and then the course object is here, and then the type of that. So from student we accessed another table, and that's the beauty of this relationship, which is one-to-many relationship defined through this relationship. So here we are saying that course has students. So one course have many students, so it's generally plural, so it's multiple, and then it's the relationship with the student table, and you can refer it back, back as in the student will refer it back to myself, which is course, through this course variable or course keyword. Again, this is a typical standard syntax. So tomorrow if you want to do teacher, you will do, you'll just replace it. So just understand that this relationship is written in the independent side, which is kind of super body, which is course, and it is written on multiple things. So students, so one course has many students. So here we are writing, but the column will be written like course underscore will be written in the student, because it's one student. Student has only one course, so we can clearly define this. So because of this course, we are able to access in the front end directly the course variable from student variable. Okay, and then typical edit, delete, etc. that you can explore. Okay, I think I'll stop here. We saw many things, so let me just kind of conclude, or sort of, just go through what we have understood so far. Okay, so this is a typical standard code for SQLalchemy. We are using SQLalchemy because we don't want to write long queries. We want to make our work easier. So somebody has written this package. We are using it. When they wrote that package, they said that you have to define table name, table database name like this, and you can enable or disable warning. So this is fairly common, so we'll ignore it. You have to create an instance of SQLalchemy. That's fine. Now this SQLalchemy package allows us to bind class and table together. So this is a class which is bound to this table, and that's why we are passing db.model. So it's acting two things at a time, class as well as table. We saw that class has attributes, so class can have ID, name, description, but then for each attribute we are also telling the Python that if when we are converting into database or table, use this data type. So ID is integer, name is string. There are multiple such data types. It could be date time. There could be float. There could be string, text. Then JSON as well. There are many data types. That's fine. And then we are defining a relationship. Now we have to start thinking in terms of relationships between different classes. Here we are doing matching between students and courses. So we have two classes. So two tables. We define the table schema. We define the relationship. One student belongs to only one course, but one course can have many students. So that's why in the student we are passing course ID, and we are writing a relationship here that makes our jobs easier to access data between course and student. So then in the index route, we are printing all students, passing to backend. Slash courses, we are getting all courses through this course.query.all, and then passing to front end. Add student, so here slash add student. If it is post, store it using first create the object of the class, and then you with dot add pass the object, and the object will be converted into a row in the database, in the table, and then commit finally to save it. Editing, okay, so editing, I can see that you first fetch the student, and then in the student you pass the data which was received from front end, and you just say commit. So when we are fetching this student, it is not only an object, but it is also a row in the table. So it is getting the row, and it is saying for that row, set this name as whatever you are getting here, set the email whatever you are getting here, and set the course ID whatever you are getting here, and then just update it. In the delete, we are getting that item again with this student.query.get or 404. And then we are saying that once you get that object or the row, directly delete it. Then we have this add course. We are saying that once you are in the add course, as usual, if the method is post, then assign these variables, assign data to these variables, create the new object, and pass the object to the add. And here in the initialize DB, which is the first code that gets run, we are saying that you first create everything, all the tables where I have written db.model, you first create all of them. And then if the course has 0 count, then I'm giving you a list of 3 items of each data of where each item is the object course, object of class course with this data. And then we are passing the list, and for that we are using add all. This add all is different than this add. Here we are passing a single object. This new course is an object of class course. We are passing a single object. Here we are passing a list of objects of type course. Yes, so that's it. Now you try running all of that. Start with course, see how you are getting data, print it, check with the developer tools, see the payload that you get in the network, and read these few things that are written here. Check out the readme file. First try to build the proper picture in your brain, like create a model of how this is working. At least intuitively you should be able to understand the flow. Information flow is very important to understand, that where is information flowing from, what is the root point, where it is, what is the next step, and so on and on. So try to see the information flow, see whether at every point the flow is getting completed, whether the circuit is getting completed or not. That is the right way to understand how the entire functionality is working. And then once you get a fairly good picture of it, then you can start doing the exercises. Till then, only try printing it here, try to understand the flow of it, print the data type of it, make small changes here and there, see what is happening. At this point, you don't have to make much changes in the front end as such. It's just the back end that we are concerned about. In the front end, we just have to consume data primarily right now. The only new thing we saw in the front end is this drop down of select. And forget this ID right now, it's not needed. It's just the name which is being used. Okay, so yes, I'll stop this. I have recorded it, so I'll upload it in a few minutes. So those who came late can also see that. And as usual, I'm available on the Discord and on the Meet for any further questions.